do you do with it offensively? They've struggled offensively. They've got to do it, and they've got to do it for 4 quarters because they will get a 4-quarter effort out of Georgia Tech.
For the Yellow Jackets, James, 2 weeks ago, most recent game at Miami. They win that game in overtime. First ACC win of the season, the first for Jeff Collins. He's been telling this team, trust the process. They got the reward 2 weeks ago down in Miami.
And he's been telling everybody that'll listen, monumental transformation, and it has been. To go from 11 years of option football to what they're trying to do now with the pro-style offense, it's going to take some time. So a lot of people thought, hey, maybe that USF win is all they get this year. They're into the thick of the ACC schedule now, and then you look up and they beat Miami in overtime, down in Miami, in all 3 phases of the game it took to win that game. You know, it would be monumental if they backed it up after that bye week with another win against one of the top dogs in the Coastal in Pitt today. It should be a heck of a game.
And now for something completely different. A unique source of motivation for this Georgia Tech team. Kelsey Wingert has the story from the field. It is our startup brought to you by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas.
Yeah, thank you, guys. You know, every team has their own motivators, their own antics, their own inside joke. Well, they have one here at Georgia Tech that they really like to lean on, especially before big games, and that is called the machine. So the Yellow Jackets talk a lot about feeding the machine being the players, the team, and feeding the machines being following the process, proper rest, proper recovery, doing your film study. And Coach Collins and his staff took putting a face with a name to a whole different level. So the machine is actually a staff member who dresses up in a Halloween mask, and he wears this mask everywhere. You see him whether he's in the bushes during practice, team meetings, locker room, at the stadium, out at pregame stretch today. Why, you ask? Well, because culture is a word you're going to hear a lot when you're talking to Coach Collins. He wants to come to Georgia Tech and change this culture. And the machine and his idea of Coach and his staff to serve as a reminder. Also keep the guys loose and a little bit scared. Also having some fun. He said keep feeding the machine so on Saturdays you can just cut loose and play. And Tom and James, a piece of advice for you guys. The machine only eats sugar packets. He is in the stadium. I have you loaded up with sugar packets up there. Stay safe, my friends.
Oh, no. Hope he doesn't come try to take all my sugar packets, Kelsey. That would be fun.
You know, we've never seen the machine and Bates in the same place at the same time. Just saying. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, back to football.
Yeah, a couple days after Halloween. All right, here's Pat Narduzzi, 5th-year head coach. And since he has taken over this program, 3rd most wins in the ACC behind Clemson and Miami. And the winners of the Coastal Division a season ago for the Pittsburgh Panthers as they played Clemson in that title game, which is coming up quickly, early December, Charlotte, North Carolina. Here we go with Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh. Jacques Louis on the return for the Panthers, and up just short of the 25-yard line. 22 yards on the return for Jacques Louis. Demetrius Knight had the tackle. Starting quarterback for the Panthers today, James, it is Kenny Pickett. Almost 60% completion this season for Pickett at over 1,700 yards. Yeah,
and a lot of action through the air for this offense. You saw Jacques Louis return that opening kick. He's got a lot of speedsters like Shockey, Taysir Mack, Maurice French, just to name a few. You know, you think Pitt, you think more of that ground attack, the big offensive line. They've got some capable backs, but they like to take it through the air, and they got a good quarterback to do it.
Complete over the middle. Kenny Pickett is first in the conference, over 24 completions per game. This one to Griffin Stewart. And they got about 8-9 yards on that play, so we'll call it 2nd and short. Quick pass by Pickett out on the edge. That's Maurice French down the sideline. And French runs after catch for a first down and more. 17 yards forced out by Wanye Thomas.
Well, good help out on the edge. There you saw Griffin Stewart, the tight end, who had the first catch, a little help on the inside, and the perimeter, one more block to spring him. So 2 for 2 to start things off for Kenny Pickett and company.
Pickett again, pressured out of that pocket. Pickett's going to run and escape out of bounds just short of the 40-yard line. And he got 9 yards on the scamper. TK Chimedza is trying to chase him down for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Sam Howell comes to mind. And a guy, you look at the body type of the quarterbacks, and oh, this guy isn't a blazer. He's not going to beat anybody on the ground. But both of them can create some space with their feet. And there's a perfect example right there on first down. There's nothing. Now it's 2nd and 1.
Philippe Carter on the rush, very close to the line to gain. Needed to get to that 40-yard line, maybe just a little bit short.
You know, Malik Carter's a guy that for the longest time it would be jet sweeps, get him outside, but he's only 5'9", 185 as he stays in there. He's gotten where they're giving it to him inside as well.
There's third down for Pittsburgh. That should be enough inside of that 40 for Malik Carter. And the Panthers are going to move the chains. They got 3 yards on the effort by Carter. They are right in the middle of the conference, 39% on third down conversion. 6th in the ACC as Christian Campbell made the play for Georgia Tech. It is a first down and a new set of downs for the Panthers on their opening drive of the ball game. By the way, Georgia Tech did win the toss and elected to defer, so they'll get the ball to start the second half for reference once we get there. Pickett's pass complete and out of bounds near the 15-yard line to Taysir Mack for 23 yards.
Last time out, the Pitt receivers had way too many drops. 6 drops total in the loss to Miami. They are catching the ball, all 3 guys. You've got Mack, you've got French, and of course the tight end Griffin Stewart watching that ball in, and Pickett is putting it on the money for them. Pickett taking his time as he jogs over in between plays to meet with his offensive coordinator Mark Whipple. But from the looks of things, got those drops out of their system and looking pretty good here in the CPI Security Red Zone on this opening drive today.
84%, 9th in the conference with 13 TDs. Pickett's on the run. Throws back across and incomplete to Taysir Mack. David Curry was pressuring the quarterback.
You know what? It's not a throwaway. It's put in a spot where Mack can maybe get to it. But it's, you know, a lot of quarterbacks panic a little bit, try to put it to the receiver, and that's an interception. Instead, he puts it inside. Might have had a guy down the field, and he didn't see him, but forced the flush in a 2nd and 10.
There's a flag out, ball on the turf, and a whistle. In fact, there's 2 penalty markers on the field.
False start. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Riley Johnson, James, our referee for this afternoon.
And that's Ulizio, the right tackle that's going to jump early. And they're on it, and it goes without saying. The momentum. This is an impressive way for Narduzzi's troops to open up this football game, coming off of that loss last weekend to Miami. Looking pretty good, feeling pretty good, and then bam, you go backwards 5 yards. So instead of 2nd down and 10, it's 2nd down and 15.
Miami with a touchdown pass with 58 seconds left in that game against Pittsburgh at Heinz Field for the game-winning points. A 9-play drive for the Canes to win it. 16-12. That pass is completed inside the 15. Taysir Mack. It's a 6-yard play. Quez Jackson on the tackle. And if you hear French and Mack a lot, that's because that duo has combined for the most catches in college football this season.
Yeah, and if you hear that Jaquez Jackson, number 44, called a lot today, it's because both Charlie Thomas and Bruce Jordan Swilling are out. The Willie linebackers, 1 and 2 injured, so Quez Jackson had to move over from his middle linebacker spot. There's his defensive coordinator, Andrew Thacker.
This is 3rd and 9. Pickett throws it. It's too high for the receiver and incomplete. Maurice French was the closest. Defended by Christian Campbell. It's going to bring up 4th and 9 for Pittsburgh.
Well, so Georgia Tech giving up a little bit throughout the first drive, but stiffening down low and a little assistance with the 5-yard penalty. And Alex Kessman, the lone bright spot when it came to scoring points last week in the loss to Miami. 12 points scored, all of them off the foot of 97.
32-yard attempt for Alex Kessman. And he knocks it through. So Pittsburgh, first possession and first points of the game. A 32-yard field goal from Alex Kessman.
Keep the ball. Don't turn it over. Sacks, hurries. We're going to force some fumbles and some interceptions. So they've got to protect. They got to get that run game going again like they had it going against Miami.
Got that win against the Canes 2 weeks ago. 1 and 3 in conference play. Here's the return from Tobias Oliver. flag comes out on the return as Oliver falls forward to the 30-yard line. 29 yards officially on the return. Brandon George making the tackle, but again there is a penalty marker. Riley Johnson, our referee.
During the return, personal foul, blindside block by the return team number 10. The penalty is half the distance to the goal line. First down.
That's Christian Campbell in what would have been decent field position. Jeff Collins and company going to start closer to their own goal line. Let's see here. There's your blindside block, and that's the rule. We used to see a lot of that, but that absolutely is a blindside block, and something not only that is emphasized by the officiating crews for safety purposes, but you better believe it's emphasized therefore at practices. So that's a mistake you can't have. Longer to go, and James Graham, there he is, has done a fantastic job since he was named the starter. Redshirt freshman from Pittsburgh, Georgia.
Threw a touchdown pass 2 weeks ago in that victory against the Miami Hurricanes on the road in overtime for Georgia Tech, and that is Graham for 7 yards. Salim Brightwell, the senior, on the tackle for Pittsburgh.
Well, the offensive line has really come together. Mentioned it off the top, just the task that they have at hand of changing over from blocking that triple option style to just going man on man, a lot of the zone blocking, a lot of the pro style offense. And they've done a fantastic job and do a good job there to start.
James Graham kept that one into the line. That's a short 2-yard gain for Graham, the redshirt freshman from Fitzgerald, Georgia. Phil Campbell, the third on the tackle. And now it's third down for Jeff Collins, the first-year head coach for Georgia Tech. Just 34% on third down. That's 12th in the ACC for Georgia Tech.
Oh, look at him bunched up over the center.
Flag came out on the handoff. First down yardage by Jordan Mason, but there was a penalty marker as Mason got 5.
The pre-snap confusion.
The defense was lined up in the neutral zone, offside, 5-yard penalty. That penalty will result in a first down.
It's a good play as well. Didn't even need the penalty, and well, if you're going to go with that circus look and all those bodies going all over, and it's worked on a lot of third downs this season, but you got to make sure you're back across the ball when they snap it. And there it is, actually. It's the defensive tackle with his hand. He lines up. I thought it was one of the guys standing up.
First and 10 for the Jackets. Amarian Brown trying to turn that corner near the 30-yard line, forced out by Campbell. 3 yards.
Brown, just one of the young guys on this team they're really excited about. The freshman from Tampa, Florida. Almost got that corner turn.
Jordan Mason is the back to the right of Graham. Graham will throw it, put some touch on it, and incomplete. That ball was sent into Pittsburgh territory, but Malachi Carter could not hang on. Paris Ford was defending for Pittsburgh.
Well, the pressure was coming on Graham, but didn't affect him or the throw. The throw was dropped in there, just as we talked about hitting too many drops last week. Here it's going to be what should be an easy grab for Carter. Instead is a third down and long now in the position you don't want to be in, looking down the barrel of this loaded Pitt defense. Look at him walked up here.
Carter does have 11 catches, second best on the team. Couldn't grab that one. Pressure on Graham. And he'll move that pocket up to the 30-yard line, but it collapsed in on him. Cam Bright was there as well for Pittsburgh, the sophomore. And it was only a yard gain there, so the punting unit has to come out for Georgia Tech.
There's that pressure. I don't envy the offensive line, Jordan Mason in that situation. The back that has to do the pickup, and James Graham. They walk them all up and back them out and only bring 3 or 4 sometimes, but still get to them.
It's The all-conference punter, Presley Harvin III, who threw a touchdown pass 2 weeks ago on a fake punt. This is French. 40. Struggles to the 45-yard line. Maurice French on the return for Pittsburgh. The punt was 47 yards from Harvin. The return was 21. Solid field position for the Panthers, up 3-0.
Talking to him earlier this week about when he was named a captain, I said, take me through that moment. He said, well, it was at a luncheon, and he said, honestly, I'm so shy. I was so nervous, and I didn't think I was going to be named a captain. He said, my mom kept telling me you're going to be named a captain. And he said, as soon as he heard Pat Narduzzi read his name off as being voted a captain this year, he said he's the first person in his family to ever be named a captain, and he said it's really helped him turn into more of a vocal leader when he needs to be.
Georgia Tech came up with the play. Kelsey, Wanye Thomas stepping in front of that pass from Kenny Pickett. So French isn't going to get a chance on this sequence.
Well, they went right at him, looking for number 2 all the way. High point in that football, one-handed actually. And a big turnover for a Georgia Tech football team that has started slow throughout this season many times. Duke, North Carolina, only to come charging back in the second half. They needed a big turnover like that.
And the first interception of the season for Wanye Thomas is the 6th of the year for Georgia Tech. There is no gain on their first down play. Wanye Thomas, the sophomore, making the play. And those 7 points came 2 weeks ago. That was against Miami, and the only points they've had off turnovers this season in their first offensive touchdown as Jaquan Griffin had a fumble recovering in the end zone against the Canes. See what they can do with this opportunity on second down, and there's not a lot there for James Graham.
No, it looked to be a busted play, and so boom, boom, and you know, you've got to capitalize. Georgia Tech offensively, you turn it over, use that momentum. There's the offensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, Dave Patnode. But on the flip side, good job by Randy Bates' Pitt defense to step right back out there, sudden change, and stuff them twice, back-to-back plays. Again, here's that third down and long. Watch the bodies moving around and who backs out.
Coach Patnode was on the staff at Temple last 2 years prior to this season with Jeff Collins, and that pass is incomplete on third down. So now 0 for 2 on third down in the game for Georgia Tech, and they can't do anything with the Wanye Thomas interception.
Well, the pressure came. Graham had to get rid of it in a hurry, so forced to throw it short. Now, one thing that you can do is get a little bit better field position if you cover off the boot of one of the best around, Presley Harvin.
French, the deep man, has to backtrack and field it inside the 25. French down that 35-yard line, spins away from a tackler, and then reinforcements come for Georgia Tech. But again, Maurice French, dangerous on his 2 punt returns so far this afternoon. Nathan Cottrell making the tackle on special teams.
Hold your breath there. I mean, Maurice French, Kelsey, not only is he running from attention, but he's running from everybody out there on the field, and just effortlessly he looks when he's doing it. And you know what? You got to tip the cap. Earlier we already saw a blindside block that was called on Georgia Tech. That time, number 30, the backup linebacker, Brandon George, did an excellent job. He was in position to, a couple years ago, you would have blindsided someone, hit him in the ear hole, but he waited, just used his hands to set up a block, and helped out get a couple more yards there.
Direct snap to Vincent Davis for Pittsburgh. Davis up the middle of the field, angling for the end zone, and the Panthers have scored. 61 yards, direct snap to Davis, and he goes the distance for Pittsburgh.
Right down the heart of that Georgia Tech defense. Pat Narduzzi's got to be fired up. They've been looking for a little bit more action in the ground game. They've got 3 capable backs in Davis, Carter, and Vincent Davis. And untouched.
Kessman field goal and a 61-yard run by Vincent Davis on the direct snap for Davis.
Formations. Go ahead and run it, guys. Watch the bodies, the big bodies that are going to come pull. You're going to have Ulizio right here is going to do a great job of pushing down pass, and you just pre-snap. There are so many things going on. It's tough to get set up and just play sound defense, and they take advantage of it, and it's off to the races for Vincent Davis, the freshman from Fort Lauderdale. It's a nice sudden change type play. Even though it was a punt, you get it out there, go out there and get him with the quick hitter with the new back in there.
No return from Georgia Tech through the back of the end zone. With the Pittsburgh Panthers up 10-0. Pittsburgh 5-3 on the season. 2-2 in conference play. Trying to stay alive in that coastal race, which seems to turn upside down every single week, James. And we saw it last week with Duke and North Carolina right down to the final play. And in fact, tonight, North Carolina is hosting Virginia in the South's oldest rivalry, the 124th meeting between those two programs.
Boy, will that be a fun one.
That'll close out the schedule of action of the ACC on this Saturday. That pass by Graham is incomplete. Amarian Brown closest to it, the freshman from Tampa, Florida.
A lot of Floridians making big plays here today. Davis is from Florida, and this young man from Fitzgerald, Georgia, James Graham, just settle down now. There's a lot of football to be played, and that's one thing that they've done. They've stayed pretty even keel. Even a big deficit at Duke a couple weeks ago. North Carolina, they come battling back, but they need not let them get too far ahead right here in the first half.
Graham keeps it to the 30. Phil Campbell again on the tackle for Pittsburgh. 6 yards for Graham. Was he excited about today's ball game, James, or what? We met with him yesterday. He couldn't wait to get out on the field. Having a chance to start here at Georgia Tech.
Well, he and David Curry both did the talk with them, and I really enjoyed talking to Jalen Twyman a couple weeks ago when we had that Pitt game up there in Pittsburgh. We'll see if Twyman and company can get some more heat on the quarterback. Another third down coming up here, and they're walked up.
4th start of the season for Graham. Wants to throw it, and that's too far. So now Graham is 1 for 5 through the air, and that brings up 4th down, looking for Dylan Devaney, and incomplete. So Harvin is back out there again to punt. French is deep. He's been dangerous so far. A couple of quality returns from French. Total yards in returns for French. Harvin high and deep, driving French all the way back to his 15, and he spun down near the 10-yard line. Special teams for the Jackets, and Jake Ladascu was down there to cover after the punt by Harvin.
Great punt, great job by Askew to make sure that the coverage wasn't out-punted. And you know what? I like it from French as well. He's hungry right now. He's feeling it. He's aggressive. How many times you see a guy who's going to throw up the fair catch and just play safe? He wants to make something happen. It's just football player on football player. Askew wins that battle. Nice job.
Before we continue with the action, a quick word from Works.
The Works Tri-Vac 3-in-1 Easy Switch from Blow to Vac is a game changer and a time saver. Your yard work champion.
That punt was 53 yards by Harvin. -2 on the return by French, who's got the football right now. Looking for some blockers. Georgia Tech diffuses the play. Wanye Thomas, who's got the interception in this game, drops French.
Boy, here he is. Watch him.
Kenny Pickett 4 of 7 through the air and 55 yards, and the interceptions James just mentioned by Thomas. They'll send it up the middle with A.J. Davis. You've got Vincent Davis, who scored the touchdown, number 22, and A.J. Davis, the junior from Lakeland, Florida, number 21. Vincent is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and T.K. Chimedza on the tackle after 9 yards.
Yeah. Lakeland Dreadnought right here, putting a little shake on Curry. Watch the linebacker here. We just mentioned him up there in that hole. You know, just with the same burst and intensity that you saw the play before Wanyego fill. You got to fill those gaps in the middle like that too. 3rd and short. Oh.
Second effort. Needed to get to about the 24 and a half. 3rd and short. We're inside of 4 minutes to go. Quez Jackson.
They let him scrum a little bit before blowing that whistle. Initially, a heck of a job by Georgia Tech to get low and push back. But that second effort, as you mentioned, Tom, that'll be just enough and a little bit of help from his friends. But watch initially. Watch the hats. See, they're all lower the gold hats, then they get up underneath. And there's no way he's going to get it now. But a little help from A.J. Davis.
The Davis push.
Yes.
And that'll be enough for a first down. Not quite a touchdown for a national championship, but a fresh set of downs for Pittsburgh.
Well, you can do that now. You can help him out a little bit.
A.J. Davis, 4 yards.
Nice run there by Davis. Again, that one-on-one matchup, making a guy miss. He makes Curry miss. Curry takes the right angle, but he's got to come under control and focus on that inside hip. Run right through it. He had 16 tackles against North Carolina a couple weeks ago. He can do it.
Pickett over the middle. Intercepted again. Tariq Carpenter was through the hands of the receiver, and Tariq Carpenter with a pick for Georgia Tech, their second of the game.
Tom mentioned the drops earlier, and Nakia Griffin-Stewart, the graduate transfer from Rutgers, he's been guilty as much as anybody, the tight end. He's right there at the sticks. It's going to be an easy first down and maybe a few more, but right through his hands. So instead of a fresh set of downs in nice field position, it's Georgia Tech football, second turnover of the day, and get the ball and get that handle out there. Get some more followers on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. I wonder if Carpenter has a TikTok, Kelsey.
First interception of the season for him. And now 7 on the year for Georgia Tech. Try to swing it wide. Jordan Mason. The Panthers come up to meet him inside the 40-yard line. Kelsey?
Talk about a man who's fired up on the sidelines. Tariq Carpenter just fired this entire sideline up. And a great story about him changing his uniform number this year to number 2. But you have to work for it. So you might have heard here at Georgia Tech, Coach Collins puts high value and importance on single-digit uniform numbers. You really have to earn it. And you also have to write a paper explaining why you deserve that number. So Tariq wrote his paper, but Coach Collins wanted to see more, so he didn't earn the number 2 this spring. So when he earned it months later, it really meant that much more. And I asked him why he wanted number 2. And he said, well, he comes from a big family, but for his mom, her only 2 kids are himself and his sister. And Tariq told us that she was in the Army. She served for 17 years in the Army. And when him and his sister would get to talk to her on the phone, she said she would always tell them, you 2 are my reason to keep going, which is where he gets the number 2 from. So it represents his family, his mother, and the sacrifices she made. And she also wore number 2 when she played college basketball. So an incredible story, an incredible guy. You guys, what about his mama? Yeah. 17 years in the Army, and she must be proud of that man.
Well, we thank her for her service, and Tech fans thank Carpenter for that interception, the number 2 interception of the day for that defense, Kelsey. But can they do anything with it on the offensive side? Here's another 3rd and 7.
Graham inside the 30 and down near the 25-yard line. They convert on 3rd down. Ford made the tackle, but Graham got 12 and a first down Tech.
Boy, and how big is this? This is the keeper, the good read there on the end. And he knows what he's got to get, and he gets some help there on the outside. Adonicus Sanders, especially on the perimeter, blocking his guy. So there's your fresh set of downs.
Jackets trailing 10-0 late in the first quarter against visiting Pittsburgh for the 14th all-time meeting between the programs, and the Panthers lead 8-5. Might have been hit as he threw it there as the pressure came right up from Patrick Jones the second as Graham tried to toss that one off to his left and incomplete.
Yeah, he got hit. He had to go up high. Good job by Graham to even catch the high, hard snap. And Patrick Jones, how hot has he been the last few weeks? Tied with Jalen Twyman for 7 sacks, leading this team. And the defense, by the way, if you didn't see the open, that leads the nation. Almost 5 sacks a game.
Patrick Jones had 2 sacks in that game against Miami, forced a fumble as well. 38 total sacks for the Panthers. This will be a run from Jordan Mason. Now, how about Jordan Mason, James? That's 7 yards. Mason coming off a career-high 141 yards rushing 2 weeks ago in the win against Miami on the road.
And a lot of those yards watching that Miami game, they come on what looked like, oh, he's going to be stopped for no gain. Running through tackles and also a little bit of a shake, making guys miss. Just a sophomore. And an outstanding back. They call him JP, Jordan Mason, here for the Jackets in a 3rd down and 3.
He had the game-winning points against Miami with a 1-yard touchdown run in overtime. This will be Mason trying to shake his way down to the 15. Didn't quite get there. And that is going to be the end of the quarter, but it will be 4th and short when we come back.
Pretty exciting first quarter of play. Couple picks. Pitt looking good on the ground. We're just getting started. 10-0 after 1 quarter. Pittsburgh on top.
Start the second quarter. It's 4th and short for Georgia Tech. And it looks like they're going to decide to put some points on the board as Brenton King trots out there. Offensive coordinator Dave Patnode in his first season, last 2 years. Offensive coordinator with Jeff Collins at Temple.
And I think it's the right thing to do. You're in field goal range, get some points. A lot of football to be played. Just the end of the first quarter right there. And get something. Have something to show for that second turnover of the game by your defense. But a good job by Pitt once again to step up and shut them down.
It's a 34-yard attempt for Brenton King. He's 2 for 4 on the season. And this one is no good. So Georgia Tech comes up empty on the first snap of the second quarter. Pittsburgh keeps the Jackets off the board as King misfires, now 2 for 5 on the season. This was from 32 yards away.
Snapping the holder there and just misses. So all for naught. 2 interceptions, but nothing to show for it. And pitching a shutout so far, that Pitt defense getting after it. And here comes the offense out one more time. And turnovers the big story in the loss to Miami. Kenny Pickett and company, they've got to do a better job of taking care of that football. And it starts with catching the ball when it's in your hands. A couple drops here the last couple weeks, costly.
Panthers had 3 turnovers against Miami at home, and that resulted in 10 points for the Canes, and the 16-12 difference as Pickett throws up past the 25-yard line to Will Gragg, number 10. And the senior, Caleb Oliver, on the tackle for Georgia Tech.
Well, here's the other tight end, Will Gragg. He's also a grad transfer from Arkansas. Look at the protection for Pickett, and how about that laser he throws in there? A nice hands that time to go out and pluck it.
Wonderful catch from Gragg, and a first down now as through the line is Malik Carter, the sophomore from West Palm Beach, Florida. Tariq Carpenter made the tackle, but not after 7 yards from Malik Carter. And a first down. Mark Whipple is the first-year offensive coordinator. Spent 5 years as the head coach at UMass. Was in the ACC with Miami as an offensive coordinator as well. The QB coach with the Steelers, so he knows what he's talking about. And Taysir Mack on the receiving end of the pass. 6 yards. Kelsey?
A few injury updates, starting with Pitt, since they're driving right now. Redshirt sophomore running back Todd Sibley Jr. is out. He will not play today. And for Georgia Tech, per Coach Collins, he told us junior linebacker Bruce George.
Kelsey, French made the catch there. Charlie Thomas made the hit. And the cover for Georgia Tech. So Kelsey, yet another turnover. And Georgia Tech has got the football.
My goodness, just about the only thing that stopped Pitt so far, themselves. Again, like clockwork going right down the field. And French just trying to get a better grip, it looked like, on it. Now they might take a look at it, and he might have had a knee down right there. So Georgia Tech.
It's Jordan Dominic who had the cover of that fumble.
But my goodness, just went to kind of shift it around in his hand and just tossed it to the ground. A gift. What are the Jackets going to do for it now? Nothing to show after the missed field goal last time out.
There is no review. Graham unloads it. In stride and caught. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. Amarian Brown at 51 yards for the Jackets.
Well, we've seen James Graham run it a couple times. He's been a bright spot early in this game on the ground. But here's why he's truly a dual threat quarterback. Just lays it right in there. Harris Ford seems to be in position, but gets caught flat-footed, maybe looking into that sun as well. Look at him strumming that banjo. Electric guitar bass, whatever it is, it sounds pretty right now. If you're a Georgia Tech fan, big touchdown.
One play, 8 seconds. James Graham to Amarian Brown for the touchdown. 4th receiving TD of the season for Brown. Graham, 6th TD toss. 10-7. From James Graham. Points off turnovers for Georgia Tech. And it is the drive brought to you by Land Rover.
Started with the fumble. French trying to do a little extra. Coughs it up, puts it on the ground. So turnover number 3. What are you going to do with it? How about a sudden change, big play? You go to your electric fast freshman, a 10-500-meter runner in high school, Amarian Brown at the other end of the James Graham touchdown pass. And look at him. Is that good form? I don't know. I'm not a musician. Wow. That's just what they needed, though. They needed something to have. And you know what? On the other side, Pitt has done such a good job of keeping teams in front of them, keeping these offenses in front of them. Miami, even for the most part. Then the big 32-yarder. Those big plays, the sudden change that they had done such a good job of bouncing out on the field and taking care of, they get burnt here one more time, making it interesting.
Just the second completion of the game for Graham. It's an awkward-looking kickoff and a free ball that bounces out of bounds. Flags are out.
Kick out of bounds by number 38 of the kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Wesley Wells was kicking off.
Boy, that was kind of like the machine right there. That looked great, but maybe Jeff Collins is the machine. He wasn't happy with that at all. Prides himself in leading up those special teams meetings. And here's the first 5 touches for this Pitt offense. And with the exception of coughing it up, they have looked like a well-oiled machine.
So both teams have a one-play scoring drive in this game. Just a moment ago, it was Brown from Graham. That only took 8 seconds. And a run by Vincent Davis in the first quarter for 61 yards for a touchdown. That was one play, 11 seconds. Those are the kind of drives that offensive coordinators like to see.
That was a direct snap that time to the other Davis, A.J. Davis.
So they're going with the Wild Panther, which paid off in the first quarter. to Vincent Davis for 61 yards. A.J. Davis to the 40. And a group tackle for 2 yards. So to finish off that injury report, let's go back down to Kelsey.
Yeah, we wanted to get back to the Georgia Tech, what Coach Collins told us yesterday. So junior linebacker Bruce Jordan Swilling is out for the season with an injury that happened in the Miami game. And Charlie Thomas, who is currently in, he's going to be extremely limited today. They said he was hurt in the Miami game as well. And running back Dante Smith also out. Coach Collins noted how big of a hit special teams would take without Smith.
3rd and 4 for Pittsburgh. 2 for 3 in this situation. It's French, and they're going to have it again. And he's in the Georgia Tech real estate. Taken out at about the 47-yard line by Zamari Walton, but it's French on the catch. They've got 12 yards and a first down.
Again, what you don't see is back in front of Pickett. Great protection again. It allows him plenty of time, scan the defense, and find French, who keeps on moving away from the inside from those defenders. A nice pickup.
67 catches now on the season for French, leads the team. This is Pickett sliding safely past that 40-yard line. They're going to mark him just short of the 40 at the 41 and 6 yards. You can't play without a shoe, so Campbell had to go to the sideline.
Christian Campbell, the starting nickel here today.
French. Another Pittsburgh first down as he inches his way towards the 30-yard line of Georgia Tech. Charlie Thomas, who Kelsey told you is dealing with a shoulder injury, in there for Georgia Tech. 11 yards for French. He's been a dangerous weapon. 4 catches in the game for French now.
Well, and I like the fact that Pat Narduzzi goes right back to him. You know what? Mark Whipple says, hey, he puts it on the ground. This is our guy. He's our leader. Kelsey told you earlier, named captain. Let's give it back to him. He's hungry. He's upset with himself. Let him take it out on the defense. And time again, they keep going back to number 2. I'd keep an eye on him if I'm on that Georgia Tech team.
Leads the conference with 8 catches per game. Pickett up the middle. Couldn't find a receiver. Took off. Just 2 yards for Kenny Pickett. Jordan Dominic, who had the fumble recovery. Georgia Tech turned into points, made the tackle.
Our man David Curry that we met with yesterday, he's got to settle it down a little bit. We talked about how many tackles do you want to get. Yeah, it's one thing to play fast, but at times you got to come under control. We've seen him miss a couple tackles. That time, he made it through on the blitz, but just run past. You got to break down.
Pickett from the pocket. Complete. French. Spinning his way around that 20-yard line. He's right at the marker at the 21. Jalen King forced him out. They got 9 yards. And that is going to be a first down.
They just keep on chipping away. You're going right at number 2 for the most part. Why would you? I mean, this has been a nice hookup. And they haven't even, with the exception of that big long run, haven't even had to try to run it much.
Pickett throwing it again inside the 5 on target and diving into the end zone for the touchdown is Jacques Louis. Touchdown Panthers and 21 yards.
Well, how about this throw and catch? Little back shoulder with not much room at all. As Swilling is right there tied on him. Jacques Louis comes back, adjusts to that football, and then presence of mind to stick it right across the goal line. The sophomore from Fort Myers getting involved here.
9th touchdown pass of the season for Kenny Pickett. And that extra point just inside the pipe from Alex Kessman. Jacques Louis James on the catch for the touchdown, his first of the season. TD reception of the season for Jacques Louis, and Kenny Pickett was 5 for 5 on that up-tempo drive by the Panthers. There was a lot of French, and there was a lot of Jacques Louis. The wee-wee.
So French across the board, huh?
Oliver can't get to the 20-yard line on the return for Tobias Oliver. 18 yards on that return for the Yellow Jackets as the Panthers have taken the 17-7 lead in the second quarter. So time for our 5-star drive summary. It's brought to you by Yellowwood. James Bates.
Shoot. Doesn't have the yellow tag for Yellowwood. Believe me, you don't want it.
Come on, HBC.
Yeah, HBC was a coach here at one time, an assistant. And there you have it. Kenny Pickett looking pretty good today. 8 plays, 65 yards on that drive. And just under 4 minutes the time of possession. And there are the numbers for Pickett on the day, 11 of 15. The 2 interceptions, one of those right through the hands of his tight end. But through the air, this is an offense that hasn't met much resistance. There was a flag there that was kind of hard to see over on the other sidelines, and they'll talk it over with Pat Narduzzi.
Personal foul, illegal blindside block during the kick. Number 14 on the receiving team. That penalty's declined. First down at the dead ball spot.
And that's 2 called. 1 walked off on Georgia Tech here today, the blindside block.
So from the 18 for James Graham, who has a touchdown pass in this game, a career-long 51-yard TD pass for the redshirt freshman. 6th TD pass of the season for Graham. Throws on the run and got popped, and a flag came out. Phil Campbell right up in the grill of James Graham.
Yeah, and Phil Campbell may be done for the day.
Personal foul, targeting defense number 24. That play is under further review.
That'd be a big loss for Pittsburgh. We've called Campbell's name on a number of occasions, and he came up to make the play against Graham.
Roll Graham out, try to get him some time, and that's the, well, it's just about top to bottom the definition of it. He launches, he goes at the head, and it's a defenseless player. And it's, remember this year as they take it up to review, they can overturn it or they can confirm it. There is no more stands. And from anything that we've seen, I don't know that they have anything where they can overturn it. This may be a good look right here. As he tries to go low, well, maybe not. You know what? They need to take a good look at that. You know, you hate to see a guy dismissed from the game with this targeting call. I like this for the safety of the player. But if you look at that, I think that the violent head whip back is more of the impact, and it may even be on the shoulder pad. Watch regular speed now. Watch where that head goes. You know what? Hey, the official that threw the flag was behind, and what he saw was that head jerking back in a hurry. But if you look at it one more time, Phil Campbell might have hit those shoulder pads. Pitt fans hoping that's the case.
Guilin Johnson.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Number 24 is disqualified.
So Campbell is out. And the 2 key parts of the targeting rule: forcible contact to the head and neck area of a defenseless opponent, or any forcible hit by the crown of the helmet. And that hit by Campbell met one or both of those qualifications, and he is disqualified. So Chase Pine is going to come into the lineup as Campbell comes off the field and not eligible for the second half as well.
You know, and that's key too, is the crown from the defender trying to protect them, and that may be what did it, but he did try to avoid it, looked like.
1st and 10 through the line. Jordan Mason. He's the sophomore from Gallatin, Tennessee. And again, we had mentioned Campbell's name several times in this first half in on tackles for Pittsburgh. They're one of the best defenses in the ACC, 3rd in total defense, and they're in the top 5 in the most significant statistical categories in the ACC on defense, although this is going to be a first down for Jordan Mason.
Yeah, and although aided by that targeting penalty down near their own goal line, I'm anxious to see if Georgia Tech's going to be able to put something like this together. We saw the big touchdown pass, a 51-yarder, beautifully thrown football. But can they put together and drive the length of the field like they did in that Miami game? They had some good drives, and it all surrounded around not James Graham for the most part, but Jordan Mason coming off that career day, 141 yards on the ground against a defense that was only allowing 77 a game.
Graham takes off, diving from midfield for James Graham. Paris Ford wrapped him up 5 yards on the run for Graham.
Nice job with the quick look, and that pressure is there in a hurry. Doesn't have the luxury to see the high step to get a couple more that Kenny Pickett has had so far today. All that time from the offensive line. But a nice job. Tuck it and go. Give me what you can. 5 yards will do it. 2nd down and 5 now, Georgia Tech.
7 rushes for 35 yards for Graham from midfield. On 2nd down. Jerry Howard Jr., number 5 for the Yellow Jackets, the junior from Rock Hill, South Carolina. And there is no gain for Jerry Howard. Salim Brightwell in on the stop for the Panthers. So that's going to bring up 3rd down, and Georgia Tech is just 1 for 5 on 3rd down in our game. It's not a strength for this team, James. 34% of the season and 12th in the conference.
But it is a strength of the defense of Randy Bates. They did a great job even in that loss to Miami. Miami was just 2 of 13 on 3rd downs.
Graham had to throw it on the run well above the head of the receiver, Amarian Brown. Now those two combined for the touchdown pass of 51 yards, but that one not the desired result in 4th down.
Got to be careful if you're Pitt right here. This is prime fake position for Presley Harvin, and Miami found out the hard way with the beautifully executed fake punt right here at midfield. It was a touchdown pass 2 weeks ago to Nathan Cottrell against Miami. It's a safe look right now for the defense, but it was also a safe look for the Miami Hurricanes on that play.
This will be a punt. It was a 41-yard pass by Harvin a couple of weeks ago on a fake punt. French will get away from it. Leg talent of Presley Harvin III. Kelsey's got some arm talent as well.
You mentioned that 41-yard touchdown pass he threw last week. The best part of that story is when I spoke to him earlier, he said his sophomore year of high school, he made a bet with his dad that he would never throw a touchdown pass in his career. Well, his dad had to pay up $100 after the game versus Miami, guys.
Well spent $100. I'll take that any time. How about that throw?
41 yards and on the money to Cottrell.
And you know, guys, you better expect it when you play not only a Presley Harvin team, but a Jeff Collins team. When he was at Temple last year, they faked 7 field goals and punts, and they were successful on 6 of them. So a trick or two up their sleeves perhaps today, as we've got 6 minutes left here in the 2nd quarter. And the defense getting out there and trying to stand with Pitt deep in their own territory.
Worst starting field position of the game for the Panthers. On 2nd down, they go up the middle on the ground. Bashing his way is Vincent Davis, but it yields only 2 yards. And how about that Georgia Tech defense and its reaction? Fired up, ready to play, just a couple days after Halloween.
Big 3rd down right in front of that student section. Money down. Look at him throwing the Bills around.
Three for 4 on 3rd down. Pickett from his end zone. Steps forward and throws and threads the needle to French. Up near the 20, Maurice French. His 6th catch of the afternoon and 7 yards.
Just too much time for Pickett. Good protection up front. French is going to continue to work. Look at him work for his quarterback and drills it in there. Great throw by Pickett.
That last-second adjustment by French. Flags are out looking for Taysir Mack. It's incomplete, but again, there are 2 penalty markers on the field.
Illegal substitution by the defense. 12 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
You had them backed up in a third down and long. And the minister of mayhem, Jeff Collins, prides himself in taking advantage of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you go. 12 dots. You got one guy running off. Too late, though. 5 yards for free.
Vincent Davis. Miles Sims, the tackle, 2 yards.
What a job by 91 Kelton Dawson. The defensive end won't be credited. He's right here, standing up. Watch the job he does to fight. See the puller? Fight 2 guys off to extend. See him just giving up his body just to make sure that he stretches that play. Should get an assist there.
Kenny Pickett has to dance. Pickett keeping his feet. And then just hurls that ball forward, looking for the incomplete pass. How about the junior Kenny Pickett from Oakhurst, New Jersey, with some fancy footwork. He's out of breath on the sideline with Coach Whipple.
Well, fortunately, he doesn't have to run far to meet with him this time. Well, excellent job by Pickett. Makes one guy miss. There's Jackson. Almost had him. And still presence of mind to toss it away past that line of scrimmage. Make sure it's not an intentional grounding call. So instead of a third down and 10 or 11, it's a 3rd and 3. Very manageable.
Pickett had completed 8 passes in a row before tossing that one out of bounds to avoid the loss. And there was a timeout called by the Panthers. Homecoming in Atlanta. The Jackets, strong record on homecoming. They've won 5 of their last 6 and 20 of the last 23. But right now on 3rd and short, trail the Panthers 17-7.
Pitt called that timeout just before this big third down. It is a big money down for Jeff Collins in his defense here.
4 of 5 on 3rd down in the game for Pittsburgh. And 3rd and short. Pickett has the time to release up near the 35. And a first down over the middle. Griffin Stewart, the senior, makes the catch for Pitt. 12 yards, first down.
Well, it's good to see 86 hold on to this one here. He's had a problem with some drops, looks it in, runs that route right at the sticks. Defensively, where are they trying to go? Where are they breaking these routes off? And they've got to get some pressure on Pickett. Unable to get in his face.
Unloads it again, past the 45-yard line. Maurice French, aware of that boundary, 8 yards. He stayed in bounds, and French now with 7 catches in the game. This is 1 below his season average of 8 per game, best in the ACC. Panthers win today, James. They'll be bowl eligible.
This is going to be another substitution penalty on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, 2 flags deep in the secondary is A.J. Davis for Pitt. 15 of the last 19 seasons, the Panthers have been bowl eligible.
Illegal substitution by the defense. 12 men on the field. That penalty is declined, and the results of the play. First down.
So Jeff Collins probably talking it over here. They substituted. You got to stay over that ball and give us a chance to substitute as well. There was nobody to hold the snap there. Declined anyway. First down anyway on the ground.
Pickett just throws that one away. Closest receiver was Shockey Jacques-Louis.
You like saying that, don't you?
I do, even when he doesn't catch it. Although he did catch one for 21 yards in this quarter for a touchdown from Kenny Pickett. That's Shockey Jacques-Louis.
Jacques-Louis, a guy they thought maybe they'd redshirt last year. They used him a lot, though. Ended up using him and not redshirting, jet sweeps and everything.
Pickett on the rollout. Throws and complete to Taysir Mack. It is a modest 4-yard gain on the pass play. Kenny Pickett. Nobody throws the ball more in the ACC than the Pittsburgh Panthers. 330 pass attempts coming into this game. 5th most in the country. Here we go with third down again. Couple of clutch conversions on third down during the course of this drive as Kenny Pickett has gone over the middle and found a receiver.
Well, let's see if they do something to dial up a little bit of pressure here. They haven't been able to get there with 4.
Whistles halt the development of the play.
Before the snap, false start, I'm sorry, timeout.
So the timeout taken by Georgia Tech, according to Riley Johnson. So both teams have 2 left with 2:30 to go in our second quarter. So let's check in with the Aflac Duck for the trivia quiz. There he is.
It's on.
Here's the question, James. Who holds the Pitt record for most pass attempts in a season? So there's one player who comes to mind immediately, but that's almost too obvious, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And, you know, Eric Kendall's picking these out, so he's not going to... He's not going to take that isotoner guy, is he?
Producer Eric Kendall, director Lonnie Dale, and our talented ACC football production staff here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Had this been Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator's second season, I would say it's Kenny Pickett. And there are the numbers, most pass attempts in the NCAA coming into today. Yeah.
You might win a bet with that one there.
Yeah.
Pick the other teams, but Pittsburgh, 5th in the nation.
So here we go, Tom. Here's your third down now, and the timeout called by Andrew Thacker, the defensive coordinator, and Jeff Collins, trying to dial up something to shut down Mark Whipple's offense here. They have not gotten there with 4, and Kenny Pickett has had too much time to sit back there and let his receivers run these routes. They had 4 right as the whistle was blown. 4 that were picked up. Do they blitz them here? Do they roll the dice?
Pickett is 15 of 21, 167 yards, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown, and that's incomplete. In the bright sunshine of Atlanta, Georgia, Taysir Mack. Too high for him. Zamari Walton in coverage. And that was the 11th play of the drive, but no third down conversion this time for Kenny Pickett of the Panthers.
They ended up bringing Swilling, the corner, near side late. Didn't really have much of an effect on the play. So a nice stand there defensively. And you better be careful here. Alert on that fake punt. This situation for Pitt as well.
Kirk Christodoulou, first punt of the game for the Pittsburgh Panthers. Marion Brown will get away from it right at the goal line. And it broke the plane of the goal line. In college, you can be in the end zone. The key is, does the ball break the plane? And it did.
Boy.
So close, James.
Aaron Matthews does such a good job. He does just what he's coached to do. He gets down there before the ball, puts his heels at the goal line. his base is too close together. He can't hold himself in there. He taps the ball back in, but falls backwards, and the ball follows him. Just an unfortunate roll for Matthews and Pitt. So instead of starting at the 1-inch line, here with 2:16 left in the first half, James Graham and company, a little bit of breathing room, and they'll start it at the 20. Nice try by Christodoulou, though.
Each team with 2 timeouts late in the second quarter. Graham felt the pressure, released the football, and incomplete. And Marion Brown was looking back into the sunshine. Most of the field right now covered by the lengthening shadows of a Saturday afternoon and into the evening hours homecoming here in Atlanta.
Well, it's been a second half team here, Georgia Tech, James Graham and company the last couple of weeks. They've had some ugliness in the first half, but they've made games out of it in the second. Duke, North Carolina comes to mind. They got after it early before the bye week against Miami. But the nighttime has been the right time. And it is Halloween weekend after all.
Trying to snap a 2-game losing streak at home. Lost to the Citadel in overtime and to North Carolina. Brown, that pocket. Falls in on Brown.
Well, I'd call a timeout here.
John Morgan had the sack. That's the first of the game. And a loss of 5, and add to the sack total for Pittsburgh. Now 39 on the season.
Boy, the pressure, unlike the other side of the ball, the pressure has come time and time again. Well, you had to expect it coming from the nation's best sack machine, this Pitt defense. And they drop him once again for a big loss, and Georgia Tech's going to let this clock tick down. Still with 2 timeouts here, Pitt. And you better believe if nothing happens here, they're going to use it.
That play was a loss of 5 for Coach Collins and the Yellow Jackets.
That's right. Collins is going to call a timeout.
1:19 on the game clock. 3rd and 15. 53-year-old Pat Narduzzi from Youngstown, Ohio, in his 5th season. Made it to the ACC championship game a season ago, but lost to Clemson 42-10, and then played in the Sun Bowl, losing to Stanford. They have had some amazing wins, though, since he's taken over, James. 2017, they beat number 2 Miami at home. 2016, last regular season loss for Clemson, which was number 2 at the time. They went to Death Valley and they won back in 2016.
And went on to win the national championship.
Tigers will probably get to 23 straight wins today. They're taking on Wofford. Later tonight, you got the South's oldest rivalry with North Carolina and Virginia in Chapel Hill, and the winner has the inside track to the Coastal Division, but who the heck knows as we race towards Charlotte, North Carolina, December 7th. ACC title game. Late in the second quarter, Jordan Mason. That's only 1. And now Pittsburgh's going to take a timeout.
Well, he couldn't afford to throw it the way the pressure's been on Graham. You know, a possible turnover, an incomplete pass obviously is going to stop the clock right away. This way, the safe bet, you've got a good, strong-legged punter. You're forcing Narduzzi and Pitt to use a timeout. So they've got 1 left with 1:14 to go here before halftime.
While we have a moment, let's revisit the Aflac Duck in our trivia quiz. And the answer is Rod Rutherford. Pitt record for most pass attempts in a season. 413 attempts in 2003. Now, he had a pretty good receiver back then as well.
Fitzgerald, yeah, I'll say. But I was thinking just like you were, Dan Marino, but laces out Rod just doesn't sound the same. Doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? There you go, 413, huh? All right, they need a big boomer here.
Kenny Pickett's up over 300 attempts this season. Keep an eye on his total as the year progresses. Harvin. French at the 40. He'll go no further. Nathan Cottrell on special teams. 43 yards on the punt. There was no return. Nathan Cottrell, the senior from Knoxville, Tennessee, making the play. And punt coverage, very important part of what they're trying to accomplish here at Georgia Tech, according to Coach Collins, James.
Yeah, according to Jeff Collins, if you're on the punt team, the only starters I care about, the starters on the punt team. If you're on the punt team as a starter, you're a real dude. Other than that, you're just above the line, and we will appreciate your effort on Saturdays. And what a job they've done. The first couple punts, French was making them pay for it, but they've done a good job covering and good punts. But still here, plenty of time, 1:05 in the half.
They're going to send Jacques Louis around the end. He's going to run a long distance for a very small gain. In fact, he'll lose one. Wanye Thomas ran him down. He's got one of the 2 interceptions for Georgia Tech. Jacques Louis got a touchdown reception.
Nice job to be alert for that reverse, not running off and out of position.
Pickett looking left. 35-yard line. Maurice French. Georgia Tech ended up with the football. Looks like Wanye Thomas, but it's ruled an incomplete pass.
I thought he came back and caught it. How about the effort? Nice throw.
No.
Must
Never really had possession, James.
Right, you see it bobbling there. That's a good call. It looked like, now had he had control, that ball never moved. That could count as possession even if it hits the ground. But it bobbled a little bit, so that's a nice call. A nice effort for French. Good throw by Pickett in tight coverage, but still 3rd down and 11 now.
5 for 7 on 3rd down in the game for Pickett and the Panthers. This pass over the middle is complete. It's going to be short of the marker to Shockey Jacques-Louis. 6 yards. David Curry making the tackle.
Nice job to keep them in front. Here comes the punt team.
Clock continues to roll. 30 seconds to go in a quarter.
You know, one thing that I might do here is let this clock go down if I'm Georgia Tech and use a timeout. Just to make them snap the ball, just to make them punt it away. Line them all up there without a return man and see if you can make something happen. But at times, this could have been a little bit uglier for Georgia Tech, so you got to think if you're a Yellow Jacket, you get the opening kickoff in the second half. Hey, a 10-point spread at halftime, feeling all right the way you played in the second half, and it should be an interesting one for us.
Panthers let the clock run out. They've got the lead as they head to the locker room. 17-7 on the road. They're 2-1 this season away from Pittsburgh and 2-0 in conference play on the road for the Panthers, and they lead it by 10 against the Yellow Jackets.
Win that day for Takashi, just part of the many little victories that allowed Lambda to take over the Greek Council, and things that Adams College have never been the same.
All right, how about the Panthers in the first half, James?
Well, how about it? The direct snap to the young man, Davis, off to the races, and nobody touches him out of the Wildcat formation. When the ball has been snapped to Pickett, however, he's thrown it all over the yard. This one complete to Shockey Jacques-Louis for one of the touchdowns there in the first half. But turnovers have really been ugly in the first half for Pitt. 3 of them, just as they had against Miami in the loss last weekend. And Georgia Tech will get it to start the second half here today.
14 points off turnovers this season now for Georgia Tech. 2 weeks ago, they had 7 in the win against Miami in overtime off of turnovers. And let's go down to Kelsey with Coach Collins.
Yeah, speaking of Coach Collins, right before the second half kicked off, he said 3 keys for his team that he's looking for. 1, to capitalize on the turnovers. He was happy with the 3 they had, but obviously would like to see more points on the board for those. He said the second thing is they have to keep playing hard, and the third thing, they have to stay together the whole way through, guys.
Kelsey, thanks. New quarterback. Number 7 is Guilin Johnson, sophomore from San Diego, California, back to pass. Felt the pressure, got it away, 35-yard line. What a catch. Tyler Davis, number 9 for 10 yards and a first down.
Well, Johnson started the USF game, took off and ran a couple times, but what he really does best is what you just saw. Throws the football. He's the best thrower, they say, on the team, even though we've seen Graham spin some pretty nice ones himself. Trying to get something going in a nice completion and a fresh set of downs on his first snap.
Tries the other side of the field. The result is the same to Amarian Brown. Wrestled by Jazzy Stocker, number 7 for Pitt, 4 yards.
A nice job by Stocker to make sure he doesn't just run past, because that could have been a huge hitter there from the speedster Brown. Just hangs on for dear life and throws down the 155-pound freshman.
Mason got the call. That's a loss of 3. Salim Brightwell diagnosing the play.
Well, a nice job here. You come out offensively. You complete some through the air. You've got a new quarterback. Get them thinking about that pass. And then you try to bust a run on them. And Jordan Mason has been very good out of the backfield. But a good job by Pitt of staying at home there and forcing a 3rd down and 9 now.
Just 1 for 7 on 3rd down with the ball just beyond their 35-yard line. This pass complete. Past the 40. for Tobias Oliver. Short of the sticks by a couple of yards. They got 8 yards on the play, and the punting unit hustles out for Georgia Tech. So Lucas Johnson gets action in this first series. Second half for Georgia Tech. Played against the Citadel, threw a TD pass, started against USF, but they cannot pick up the first down. 1 for 8 on third down of the game for Georgia Tech. Harvin to punt. French is deep. Harvin just blasts this baby. One bounce and into the end zone. That was into the breeze and into the end zone. 57 yards for big number 27.
And our Hardy started watching his numbers in just the first half alone. The 7 catches for 73 yards. Look at that average. A big-time playmaker.
That's now 71 catches for the season for Maurice French. He leads the conference, third best in the nation, 8 catches per game, and he's right there again. Pickett, second option. Throws on the run. Tight to the sideline and caught Maurice French. It's 4 yards. Christian Campbell stopped him. And that is catch number 8 for French.
Well, again, trouble with the 4-man rush. Just not getting any pressure on Pickett. Buys time. Rifles it in there.
That's number 19, Malik Carter. 2 yards.
Jarquez Jackson over there on the stop. There's your third down. Coach Mark Whipple, offensive coordinator here. So Woody draws up on a 3rd down and 4.
Pickett throws over the middle. Taysir Mack needed to get to the 30-yard line. Wanye Thomas with the tackle for Coach Thacker. He played collegiately at Furman University.
Well, he gives them 2 thumbs up, and he should call him the punt safe to get in there as the punting unit comes in for Pittsburgh. And a good job by his guys, that time understanding where they were on the field. That let them run those routes in front of you. Too many times in the first half, the Pitt receivers would run those routes, breaking them off in first down territory, and too many times they were caught across the middle. Keep them in front and get off the field.
First 3 and out of the game for Pitt. Marion Brown is deep. Flag is out. Kick is blocked. Panthers trying to cover it up either way. Georgia Tech came in and got a piece of it. Looked like number 5, Jerry Howard Jr. Again, there's a penalty marker on the play.
Illegal shift. 2-man moving and not getting sent prior to the snap against the offense. That's where it's his decline. First down.
Blocked punt, Georgia Tech, Jerry Howard Jr.
And with that, the head coach will definitely become the head cheerleader of the Juice Crew, getting them pumped up. Here's basically your 4th turnover of the game. A great job getting through there. We talked about priding yourself in special teams. Jeff Collins in all of those special teams meetings. We showed you at halftime the coaching tree that he comes from. He said, one thing I saw at Mississippi State, Dan Mullen, was in every single special teams meeting, it meant something to them.
Johnson bought a little bit of time and then kind of threw it away. The block punt for Georgia Tech, their 22nd since 2013. That is the most in the ACC.
Look at what's going on here. You mentioned the trouble on 3rd down for Georgia Tech. The same thing for Miami last week. They only were 2 of 13. Miami only had 208 total yards of offense in the game. Pitt still lost. It's a similar type feel right here as they just get this punt blocked, and Georgia Tech with a chance to cut it to 3.
The Panthers only allowed 54 rushing yards to Miami in that loss at home. Mason spins down at the 10-yard line. An amazing 22 block kicks since 2013, and we'll see what Georgia Tech can do with it as they face 3rd down now with Lucas Johnson in there. James Graham played the first half for Georgia Tech. He was 2 of 9, 54 yards, and a TD pass of 51 yards. to Amarian Brown. Helmet on, shoulder pads on, but a spectator right now watching. Lucas Johnson, the sophomore from San Diego, California. 3rd and 8. Ball near that 10-yard line. The edges started to bend and collapse in. Guilin Johnson, I'll meet you at the quarterback. He's got the sack and the second one of the game for Pittsburgh.
Well, taking it out on his old coach, Guilin Johnson, the Florida Gator transfer. He actually played for Jeff Collins when Collins was the defensive coordinator there in Gainesville. And disciplined pass rush lanes, smart football, and unselfish. Guys just kind of staying there in their lanes, not trying to make something happen out of the scheme of the defense. A nice job defensively.
Brenton King. This time he knocks it on through. So after the block punt, Brenton King comes in with the field goal.
Well, the juice crew is what they call all that energy on the sidelines around here.
They've met as ACC members, and they have split those previous 6 meetings. Right near the sideline, big collision.
Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for a return man, because if it takes a funky hop and goes back in, it can be Georgia Tech football. They're covering.
French and Cottrell.
But if you let it go out, you're gonna be in great field position. Tough position to put the guy in. Just had to make sure that it was going to go out, and not understanding exactly where he was there on the field, perhaps steps out. And so here's another good try for this defense to put some pressure on a Pitt offense that, sans the turnovers, has had their way marching up and down the field throughout the first half, coming off of their first 3 and out of the game just moments ago, and then blocking a punt.
Bit of a clock issue with the play clock. Riley Johnson is our referee. That's the other thing is to sort out as well with. Well, the clock is moving right now. Probably shouldn't be.
That's on me. I plugged in my iPad.
What's going on?
It's showing it.
Let's get the word from Riley Johnson. Pat Narduzzi wants to know what's going on.
On the field is whether the ball is out of bounds. The ball is possessed, touched before going out of bounds. Is that the correct spot? First down.
Yes, but the clock was moving the whole time they were deliberating. And now the officials are realizing that. Yeah, this is French on the kick return.
It's the right call. He had possession inbounds, then stepped out. And you know, if you're a Pitt fan, the shame of it all is
to 9:43.
A half second more to spare, and you let that ball trickle out of bounds. Instead, you're starting inside your own 10 here, the second drive of the second half. And what Narduzzi is arguing is that he was standing out of bounds when he caught that football, but that wasn't the case.
Pittsburgh run, Malik Carter, sophomore from West Palm Beach, Florida, got 4 yards. This is a rivalry that goes all the way back to 1918. We played those early games the first 3 years at Pittsburgh, and Pitt won them all. Guess who their head coach was? Glenn Pop Warner. Nugget alert. Passed by the Panthers. And that's Carter again. There's a lot of history around here. Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Heisman.
Pop Warner, John Heisman coached here as well.
There's another third down. They go Carter on the ground, Carter through the air. And Georgia Tech defensively has come out and kept this Pitt offense in front of them in this second half so far. 3 yards, all that's needed right here.
Pickett, open man. Easy first down. Carter again. Tariq Carpenter makes the tackle. A post-whistle conversation, albeit brief, between the players. And a first down for Pittsburgh.
And a nice play call here by Whipple. They're going to sneak Carter out of the backfield because of all the bodies with the aggressive nature there on third down and short guys coming. Thinking that Carter's going to have to stand in there and help out on the block. They slip him out and get a first down and a few more yards to boot. Good play call and good execution by the Panthers.
They got 13 yards on the previous play from their own 28. Pickett again looking to throw. Has to move out of the pocket and wisely gets rid of that football. Kenny Pickett, the junior from Oakhurst, New Jersey. Antoine Owens was forcing the issue. Owens is a player who made a big special teams play. Here's the Panthers on offense. Second and long.
Moving the football, 6 of 10. Good on third downs, but got to hold on to it.
French. Spun around by Wanye Thomas.
Well, Wanye Thomas, who has started the turnover game here, doing a good job fighting through the block and going right after French. That's how you negate those playmakers in space. You don't give them a chance to turn those shoulders and dance. You heat it up and go make a play. And Wanye Thomas, he recognizes and reacts and doesn't get tied up with that blocker. So here's a third down and 14 now, but you can't give them all day long in the pocket.
French. Spin cycle again. Number 2, only got 2. And Carpenter, number 2, on the tackle.
Nice job. Hey, let them dink and dunk. Let them have those plays. Keep them in front. But beyond that, they come up with the best speedster out there. Watch the vice angles. Look at the angles. See the angles, guys coming in, and then the bodies coming to help them out. That's good execution there by Thacker's defense.
Brown is deep. They forced Pittsburgh to punt again after the Panthers rolled up almost 300 yards of total offense in that first half. On the bounce, it's Brown, and he's cut down immediately at the 32-yard line. Adam Midas makes the tackle on special teams.
A little over 6 to play in the third quarter here at Georgia Tech. Pitt up 7. And, you know, when you talk to Coach Collins, culture and family, 2 of the main goals for this football program. And that's why our Toyota tweet of the week meant so much to him. You're looking at him now, junior safety Tariq Carpenter, a great game so far, tweeting out a picture with Coach Collins' wife and daughter, saying it's like every day is a family reunion around here. Something that he is so grateful to be a part of. A very family-like atmosphere here at Georgia Tech, guys.
Well, absolutely. And Coach's wife actually had to go back up to Philly on the off weekend and finish selling a house from when he was the coach at Temple, and it was just him and his daughter, Kelsey. And he said that was pretty tough. It's about as tough as running this team through 2-a-days and finding out what it's like, just how hard those coaches' wives work on a day-to-day basis. And Carpenter seeing that and feeling the family love as well. That was a pretty neat tweet.
Johnson got it away over the middle, incomplete, past the 40-yard line. Nathan Cottrell, flag behind the play. Cottrell appears to have first down yardage with that ball up near the 43.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 6. Low hit on the quarterback. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. First down.
Number 6 for Pittsburgh is John Morgan.
Yeah, and he just goes low, just protecting those quarterbacks' legs. The emphasis last couple years is trying to, when they're defenseless throwing that football, you can't go low, and the freshman Morgan just scrapping, trying to do all he can to get to the quarterback, not even sure that he knew the ball was thrown.
Johnson wrapped up, maybe a yard. Lucas Johnson in to start the second half for Georgia Tech. Maldonado made the tackle, number 87, the redshirt freshman from Rome, Italy. You know what he said to Lucas Johnson? Piacere di conoscerla. It's a pleasure to meet you. After this tackle.
I like that.
Maldonado. Redshirt freshman making the play. Did play at Clearwater Academy International in Florida.
Yeah, just 1 year. 1 year of high school ball.
Johnson got away and threw it. Open man, first down and more. Inside the 30 for Georgia Tech. Adonicus Sanders on the receiving end of the pass from Lucas Johnson.
Sanders left all alone. Lucas Johnson running, trying to make something happen with those legs because the pressure's there immediately. And how about that? Sanders is he's set up shop right there by the first down. Marker's going to get all he can. And miscommunication in that Pitt secondary helping out right here. A nice easy completion and a fresh set of downs.
15 yards on the pass play for Lucas Johnson. He is 5 of 6 through the air. Wants to throw it again. He's going deep toward the end zone and knocked away. He was looking for Oliver. Damari Mathis, number 21, was back there. Tobias Oliver, the sophomore from Warner Robins, Georgia.
Well, Mathis, who had an interception in that Miami game, does a fantastic job. See how he refuses to let space happen between him and the receiver. Stays right on that body, goes up, and very aggressive fights. Almost had himself another interception. The Lakeland Dreadnoughts, one of the best high school programs year in, year out down in Polk County, Florida. Lakeland, Florida. That's where Mathis is from. And, of course, we've talked about their back Davis as well.
We're going up the middle with Jordan Mason. A short gain for Mason. He's 5th in the conference, averages 81 yards rushing per game. 3rd in yards per carry. He's got 26 yards rushing today, however, and we're deep into the 3rd quarter. Mason coming off of that performance where he ran for 141 yards 2 weeks ago in overtime against Miami. He ran all 3 plays in overtime and took it in from a yard away for the winning points. And then Georgia Tech stopped the Canes on 4th down.
Look how Pitt's set up here defensively.
Timeout, James. Timeout. 3:05 on the clock, and the first timeout for Georgia Tech.
It's 3rd down and 8. And how many times they have, it seems like 15 bodies walked up there over the center. This time they're set up, 4 guys with their hands in the grass, 3 there at the second level, linebacker. Nobody really tipping off a blitz, but you just, once that ball snapped, that Narduzzi, Randy Bates, that defense, well, they've come from all angles, and it hasn't been pretty a lot of times in this 3rd and long type situation. So wanting to make sure they got it just right here. Big play.
Randy Bates, 2nd-year defensive coordinator.
We are not relation.
He spent 12 years at Northwestern. Linebacker coach for the Wildcats. Mason, first down, driving his way inside the 10. Jordan Mason for Georgia Tech. 18 yards, James Bates.
How about the right side of that offensive line? Defensively, you've got them stop 3rd down and 8. They stunt inside, trying to slant inside and take advantage of it and get the corner. Wow.
Into the red zone for Georgia Tech. They're 1 for 2 in the game in the red zone. It is our CPI security red zone. As indicated. Lucas Johnson looking to the sideline for further instruction.
I think that was Baldonado that jumped inside there, that defensive end spot. There's nobody left there on the edge to turn it back in. How about that? 3rd and 8. They run it with Mason. 2nd down and goal now after the big pickup.
Throws to the end zone. The 2 receivers were kind of looking at that one. It's incomplete. Amari and Brown closest. Jazzy Stocker in coverage. As Johnson can only shake his head after that incompletion on 2nd down.
Probably happy that it was an incompletion and found the grass, because there one more time was the junior cornerback, Damari Mathis. He was the closest to it. Looking for former quarterback Tobias Oliver. So a 3rd and goal.
Got a field goal out of the red zone last time in for Georgia Tech. 30-yarder to cut the lead to 7. Now 3rd and goal. Johnson takes off. The ball came out right at the goal line. It's scooped up by Pittsburgh. And Cam Bright is running the other way. Cam Bright, can they chase him down? Inside the 25 and finally ridden out of bounds by Adonicus Sanders. Right at the goal line, the ball popped out. Johnson kept it, tried to get to the end zone, but lost control. 80 yards later, Pittsburgh returns it inside the 25.
First turnover of the day for Georgia Tech. Quarterback lead and fighting, trying to make something happen and punch it in. There's the big hit by Johnson to jar it loose, and the scoop and big dreams by Cam Bright, the sophomore linebacker. It's off to the races. Nice job by his buddies to help lead the way. Paris Ford down there. Look at him switch it to the outside arm like a running back would. Wow, big time play. Guilin Johnson is going to come across and deliver the big blow. Johnson, of course, a player for Jeff Collins at the University of Florida when he was the defensive coordinator there, forcing the fumble. And the sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio, Cam Bright, the star backer, with the scoop and the big run.
Right at the goal line for Lucas Johnson.
We've had a lot of goal line drama in the last couple of weeks this week, and there's Johnson after the hit.
Guilin Johnson,
he comes up smiling though, doesn't he?
Help to his feet. That Bright return was 79 yards officially. Guilin Johnson separating ball carrier from football. And there's Cam Bright.
Jeff Collins is the defensive coordinator at the University of Florida, 2015-16, and Guilin Johnson with that 28 on in the orange and blue as well. His old team, my old team, his old team, down to the Georgia Bulldogs right now, not looking pretty in Jacksonville.
So the ball is at the 21-yard line of Georgia Tech, 1:40 to go. I'll pass out on the edge to Aaron Matthews. Hung on the football but lost 4 yards. Trey Swilling, sophomore from New Orleans, Louisiana, on the tackle.
This has been a different defense here in the second half. I really like the way that they're reacting to the ball and going and making plays instead of just sitting back soft. So we've got to put Panther down.
That is Matthews who made the catch on the play, James. Last play was ruled a run for Pittsburgh. Either way, it was a loss of yardage, and Matthews got hit pretty hard by Trey Swilling.
And just exposed as he turns and goes down low, and that's what you worry. These players now are lowering that target point. They don't want to draw the penalty flag by hitting them up high, so they go so low, and you take a hit to the midsection, and hopefully you just got the air knocked out of them. But you worry about the legs and the midsection there. But good job there by Swilling. And good to see Aaron Matthews pop up and run off.
Senior from Clareton, Pennsylvania. Not surprised that these two teams are in a close matchup today and into the evening hours. 3 of the last 4 meetings decided by 5 points or fewer. And that's 3 losses in the last 4 games for Georgia Tech against Pittsburgh. And now that defense will implore this Bobby Dodd Stadium crowd on 2nd and long after the 4-yard loss on 1st down for the Panthers. They dump it off to French. He's got nowhere to go. Hemmed in and fenced in by that Georgia Tech D.
This has been a different defense in the second half. Made some adjustments. They've come out and they're all on the same page, and they're playing more aggressive football in the second half for Jeff Collins. Came up, we showed you the picture of him at Florida, at Mississippi State. They called him the Minister of Mayhem because those defenses, they just wreaked havoc on opposing offenses. Let's see what they got here. 3rd down and 17 against Kenny Pickett and Pitt.
Matthews has come back into the game. Show me the money on 3rd down, and the ball's on the turf. The exchange. Pickett alertly jumping on that football. The mesh was not clean. Trying to get it to A.J. Davis. 3rd straight play of negative yardage for Pittsburgh. So Pitt will watch that clock, and there's only 10 seconds left.
Davis never seemed to have it, and unfortunately for Pitt, Pickett able to fall right back on top of it. There's another look at it. Bunch of jackets around the rock.
So that is the end of the 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh has the lead, 17-10. Homecoming in Atlanta. The 4th quarter is straight ahead from Bobby Dodd Stadium. Kessman hit his season long of 54 yards last week against Miami when he made all 4 of his field goal attempts. 49-yarder from Kessman. Right down the middle as he hooked it in there. Alex Kessman, good from 32, and now from 49 in the 4th.
With a few yards to spare. Great snap and hold. And that's a different man than the guy at the beginning of the season who missed 5 of his first 8 tries, believe it or not.
All right, let's check in with Kelsey on the sidelines.
Guilin Johnson, who's been at quarterback in this second half, has just gone back to the locker room with the trainer. He was walking on his own power back there, but you may see James Graham come back in this game.
And we showed you just a moment ago that fumble as Johnson was trying to get to the end zone for his first rushing TD of the season. So close, James, but they knocked the ball loose and returned it 79 yards the other way, and it turns into a field goal for the Panthers.
Yeah, and Guilin Johnson was the one that was slow to get up. The hitter and the hittee seemed to pop right up and be okay walking off, but it was a big-time lick. And hopefully he's okay. You're right. Didn't look like Graham was injured. Just some new juice in there at quarterback, so we'll see.
Shortish kick. It's going to bounce. Free ball. Scooped up. Thomas. Stood up at the 25. Got away. Flag is out. He's up by the 30. And they'll stop his forward progress. 15 yards on the return. Wanye Thomas. And there's some activity after the whistle. The whistles continue, and there are penalty markers on the field. I see at least one of them. It's Riley Johnson, our referee. Initial indication against Georgia Tech on the return.
During the return, holding number 13 on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Avery Scholl was flagged for the infraction to move the spot back. Trailing 20-10, despite the protests from Jeff Collins. Great meeting with Coach Collins yesterday in his office, bringing a renewed attitude, a refreshing look at this program, trying to do a complete 180 from what they had done under Paul Johnson. A lot of success under Coach Johnson, trying to build his own traditions here, Coach Collins. playing music during our meetings and talking about life in general. It was a wonderful meeting as James Graham has come back into the game, played the entire first half for Georgia Tech. He flips it out. Jordan Mason past the 20-yard line.
Boy, an interesting way about it. Cam Bright came in and actually just took out the legs of the would-be blockers to try to just kind of sacrificing yourself for the team. 4-yard pickup nonetheless as they try to get outside in a hurry.
Graham threw for 54 yards in the first half. This is complete to the tight end with a flag coming out, Tyler Davis.
You know, it might be two separate flags even. One came what might have been holding on the offensive line, but one in the secondary. See if they sort it out.
Davis, the tight end who made the catch, is the graduate transfer from UConn. But again, the flag is going against Georgia Tech.
Offensive pass interference, number 26. 15-yard penalty in the previous spot. Second out.
26 is Blancato.
There he is right here, and what they're saying is he's setting up the little pick. And that was an easy call. Runs right into Cam Davis. No doubt about it. You got to be a little bit more subtle in those pick plays.
So call it 2nd and 16. Opening minutes of the fourth quarter between Pitt and Georgia Tech. Mason, elusive, and taken down just past the 20-yard line. 11 yards for Mason as Paris Ford, the sophomore from Pittsburgh, making the tackle.
Boy, and Mason, we saw him earlier, that 3rd down and 8 run where he converted. Here he's going to bend it back, good vision. It almost makes one more guy miss. First down and a whole lot more, but still making it manageable on a 3rd down and 7 when you had 3rd and forever after that penalty, or 2nd and forever rather after that penalty. Just chipping away at it. One thing's for sure, you don't want to let him sneak out one more time and bust you again on a 3rd down and medium. Georgia Tech is just 2 for 11 on 3rd down in this game, and Pat Narduzzi and Pitt calling a timeout. So with 13:10 on the clock, Pittsburgh up by 10. They've been celebrating it here since 1949. 53, 16, and 1 on homecoming. That's the record for Georgia Tech. Pretty good, James. Well, that's a true fan. Miss Georgia Tech, she gets out of the ride and runs right back to the student section to cheer with her flowers. That's dedication. That's what Jeff Collins needs from his students here. There you go.
3rd and 6 for the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. And trailing by 10. Georgia Tech has a field goal in the second half of 30 yards. But Pittsburgh also has a 49-yarder. Only points of our second half, and that is incomplete. Malachi Carter, number 15 for Georgia Tech, the intended receiver. Jason Pinnock, number 15, defensively for Pitt.
Pinnock right there. We talked about it throughout the game of understanding where you are on the field. Where are they trying to break those routes off? That's not a situation with James Graham in there, trying to get back into the groove. They're going to try to throw one over your head. They break it down. He's right there with them. Excellent job.
That snap was low but fielded by Harvin. Belts it back to the 38-yard line, and French still standing. French has a couple of blockers, midfield and more, and he'll slide down and get buried as he went for the slide at about the 42. 40 yards on the punt, and the return is 14 for Maurice French, but he is slow to get up.
Now, Georgia Tech very lucky that there's not an extra 15 tacked on here. And after he bobbles at French, boy, French, he's aggressive, isn't he? He makes you hold your breath if you're a Pitt fan. And here now, watch, he gives himself up. He gives himself up, and when these players slide, not just quarterbacks, when they slide, you got to lay off of them. And here was a hand that caught on the face mask. So probably a good no flag right there. But the star of the show right now, slow to get up, is Panthers leading by 10.
This is our game summary, James. It's brought to you by Ace Hardware. What do you think?
Well, it's very similar for Pitt fans as the numbers last week against Miami. Miami hadn't done much offensively, but the 3 turnovers in the first half, not many third down conversions. The Pitt defense playing well. The Georgia Tech defense, on the other hand, has come out and really performed better in the second half. There's still got some meat on that bone if you want to finish this thing off. Almost 13 minutes left to play, but good field position to start thanks to French in the return for the Pitt Panthers, leading by 10.
If you're Pitt, 10 is an enormous lead, James. Last 6 games decided by an average of just 4.2 points, and they're 4-2 in those games for the Panthers.
It should go without saying from here on out in the Coastal. I mean, how many times have we said that the last couple of weeks covering those North Carolina Tar Heels?
A.J. Davis. Bodies flying all over this field. Wanye Thomas. We have said his name on a number of occasions.
Here you see Curry's going to step up and take the puller in there. The submarine just going down low. Wanye Thomas cutting those legs out from underneath. Again, we've seen the aggressive play. We saw the interception from him early in the football game.
One of 2 interceptions for Georgia Tech. With an entourage of blockers, it's A.J. Davis. Spilled 32-yard line. Quez Jackson, David Curry collaborating on the stop at 8 yards. Correction 9 and a first down.
Well, a little too late, and thanks in large part to Jimmy Morrissey, the big center. Snapped the ball, then got up and got going. Lead the charge. There's French moving around on that sideline. His offense is out there on the field right now. 11 catches, 71 yards, a career high.
Those 11 catches, right, James? See if he re-enters the ball game for Pitt.
Direct snap here.
Yep. Looked pretty good to Vincent Davis. We'll see what A.J. Davis can do with it. Flag is out as he goes right-sided inside the 30. They did that for Vincent Davis in the first quarter, and they busted it wide open for 61 yards and a score. Things are getting intense out there here in the 4th. Riley Johnson.
Illegal shift by the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Well, costly. You try to get cute. The wildcat formation, and you've run it already. And you know, and it's when you talk Pitt offense, you talk to these defensive coordinators. They'll formation you like no other team, and so you've got to spend so much time to just prepare for the different looks you're going to see. And a lot of times they're not doing a whole lot different, not a lot of different plays. It's just preparing and making sure you're matched up.
318 yards of total offense. Trying to add to that total. Vincent Davis, they might take some away. No gain. 22 is Caleb Oliver, the sophomore. Laverne, Tennessee. And now we're crossing the 11-minute threshold for Georgia Tech and Pitt.
Watch him standing up inside, high back, old school ball. And winning that battle right there. There's Oliver, who's got 2 interceptions, leads this team on the pass defense. That time with perfect form tackle, filling that gap from his linebacker spot.
Georgia Tech is last in the conference in rushing defense. But swallowing up these backs on this drive, that's Vincent Davis, maybe one.
A 5-yard penalty, and then all of a sudden they were out there in Wildcat, and then they just go old school conservative on back-to-back plays, and now you put yourself in a 3rd and 14, the money down as they like to call it around here with Jeff Collins, and a chance to bring out a little bit of mayhem. But you know, the field goal is big here. So even you don't get that first down, you force them to score 2 touchdowns rather than a touchdown and a field goal try. But a 3rd and 14 now coming up.
Kenny Pickett, quick drop and throw. It's complete. Jacques Louis near the 25-yard line. Needed to get to the 22, so came up short. They got 11 on the pass play. Pickett to Jacques Louis. They have combined for a touchdown in this game. That happened in the second quarter, 21 yards. And it's 4th down now for Pitt. So Alex Kessman, he's 2 for 2 in the game. A 32-yarder and a 49-yarder in this quarter. And he's back out there again. School record 50-plus, but this one's going to be inside of that number. 44 yards for Kessman to go 3 for 3 after going 4 for 4 a week ago. Does it have enough? It did, but did not have the direction. So Kessman now 14 of 21 on the season with his first miss of the day and evening from 44 yards away. We got a 10-point game. The moonlight here in Atlanta, Georgia. The moon about 200,000 miles away, the speed of light per second. The light we see from the moon is a second old as we come down with 8:54 to go. James Graham in there at quarterback. He's a young man, a redshirt freshman. Nothing old about this guy. Played the first half, had to come in for Lucas Johnson, who had to be taken to the dressing room. Throwing. Got hit as he threw it, and it's intercepted by Paris Ford. Ford on the return. Past midfield. And finally taken down near the 42-yard line. So the return back by Ford was 24 yards, and the interception thrown by Graham. Patrick Jones made the hit.
Well, watch the big hit here and drives it right into the turf. Got to be careful with that. The pressure coming, the pressure got to Graham. He just launches it up there, a prayer. Just right underneath it is Paris Ford, who had a big game through the air against Miami with his 4 pass breakups, only 5 prior to that one. This time he doesn't break it up. He hangs on to it. His 3rd interception of the season. Got to do some dunking over there, right? That turnover hoop. Kelsey's all over that, I'm sure.
So the interception from Ford on the deep ball. Now the Panthers have the ball and the lead and 8.5 minutes to go. 4 yards on the play. Let's go down to Kelsey, the update on Maurice French.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on him on the sidelines. He was down here with his teammates during the meetings between drives right there. He's now talking to a coach. He has a towel over his head. He may look a little emotional right now, so I don't think we might see him the rest of the game. But he was here talking with the offense as they were preparing for this drive, and he did not go back out there with the team, obviously, as you can see, and he's not holding his helmet anymore.
11 catches in the game for French, a career high. And above his season average of 8 per game, which is best in the ACC. A.J. Davis on the carry. 5 yards. That clock continues to churn and burn in favor of Pitt right now.
1st and 2nd down on the last series. Coach Whipple goes conservative with his offense, and they run it right up the gut, and they're stuffed. This time, 2 plays in a row, very similar, and look to be stuffed, but A.J. Davis churning, getting a few extra yards on each of those carries to make it a 3rd down and short.
6 of 13 in the game for Pitt on 3rd down. Call it 3rd and 2. Pickett trying to get away, and he won't. Antoine Owens. And the first sack of the game for Georgia Tech.
And it's a great big one. Antoine Owens. He goes back down to the turf here. They'll come in and look at him, but he's the one late in that Miami game that blocked the field goal to send it to overtime. Here he is, watch him. He does an excellent job of staying up on that upfield shoulder and fighting to hang on as Pickett tries to work and get back underneath. That's an excellent job and a great athletic play. tries to celebrate, but he's got to rest it up. What a big play defensively.
Coming up with the sack to force 4th and 9. 6:57 on the clock. 2010 Pittsburgh. And Pat Narduzzi. Teams played last year in Pittsburgh. 24-19 the win for the Panthers. Their last meeting here was 2017. And a win for Georgia Tech, 35-17. They ran for 436 yards in that game. It's a distant memory right now. 2010. Inside of 7 minutes to go in the 4th. Both teams have had their chances in this second half, but we only have 2 field goals, 1 for each team, and 5 combined turnovers in the game. Christodoulou, the sophomore punter from Melbourne, Australia, and Marion Brown.
Jackets have blocked one already in this game on Christodoulou.
Working that clock down. Just 5 seconds on the play clock. They'll take all the time and take the penalty. Able to kill a lot of time just hanging on to that football.
Jeff Collins trying to remind his guys, it looks like, do not hit that punter. Don't give him a freebie here. You're going to get the ball back. A lot of time on that clock. Play smart.
Georgia Tech coming off its first road win of the season a couple of weeks ago. Their most recent game at Miami in overtime. But trailing by 10 to Pitt. Brown signals for the fair catch just beyond the 10-yard line and makes it successfully. The punt was 34 yards from Christodoulou.
They came after it. Good job by Pitt to shore things up. Protected Christodoulou. A nice job by Brown to not let it trickle back down inside the 10-yard line. It's like a return man should with those heels right there. So now with 6:10 left to play, 2 timeouts for each of these teams. Here come the Jackets led by James Graham.
Mason in the pile. There is no gain. Inside of 6 minutes now, James. You might want to get creative if you're Georgia Tech here.
Yeah. But the thing is, therein lies the rub. They haven't had any opportunities. That Pitt defense, the front 7, they've been back in the lap of the quarterbacks time and time again. They have had success with Mason being able to sneak out a couple times.
They'll throw this one. Trying to work out by the numbers of Marion Brown. He's got the TD catch, and that was from Graham back in the second quarter. Career long for both players involved in that play, 51 yards.
Good job by Pitt, keeping them in front. Something they did a really good job of against Miami. And then late, they busted the big explosive play, a 32-yarder.
See what Coach Patino decides to call up here on 3rd and 8. And now we're inside of 5 minutes.
Look at it. They're just letting it tick down. I mean, they got to score twice.
They're going to try the deep ball down the sideline. Incomplete. 2 defenders back there with Amari and Brown, and stops the clock. 4:49, and now 4th down as Stocker and Ford were running back there with the receiver.
Nice job by Stocker. Keep their stride for stride. And here's your 4th and 8. But that's what 25 seconds ran off, and it seems to me like that needs to be a two-minute offense situation. Some hurry up and a little sense of urgency there. Hey, in the last few weeks, offensively, one of the best plays has been a fake punt.
Harvard from his goal line. Vardzell, the deep man. Wants the fair catch right near midfield. was able to grab it at about the 49 of Georgia Tech. That punt was 36 yards. And the fair catch made by Bartzell. So the Panthers in front by 10. It's our Toyota Let's Go Places with French and Mack, the best receiving duo in the nation, James.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looks like, as Kelsey reported, that'll do it for French. That's why you saw the different return man in Bartzell. But Taysir Mack, Maurice French, they've got some speedsters. And I mean, how many times have we seen Shockey Jacques Louis in there? Aaron Matthews as well. Plenty of targets for a pass-happy offense led by Kenny Pickett.
Mack and French, 16 combined tackles. Bulldozing running from A.J. Davis. 6 feet, 215 and a junior. 7 yards. Determined running from A.J. Davis. And Pittsburgh determined to go on the road, James, and get the win.
Well, absolutely. They just got to hold on to the football, and if they keep getting A.J. Davis to run hard like that and not go backwards like they did last time out with the penalty, hoping to just eat away this clock. Again, Jeff Collins, Georgia Tech team needing 2 scores to tie this one up. They got to get that football back because time's a wasting.
How about Pittsburgh trying to go 3-0 in ACC play away from Heinz Field, who wins at Duke, at Syracuse on a Friday night, and now trying to finish it off here against Georgia Tech on the road. And the timeout is taken after the first down. You have got to be impressed with what Pittsburgh's been able to do in 3 of its last 4 games and trying to close in on this win here. And we still have 3:50 to go on the clock.
Well, you know, you'll hear Pat Narduzzi talk about it. Mark Whipple, his whole team ad nauseum. You can't turn the football over against good football teams. It's, you know, if you look at the rest of the run and definitely right there in the thick of it, and such a punch to the gut with Virginia losing. Remember, they lost to Virginia right out the gate to start this 2019 season. But Virginia lost to Miami, and then they had a chance to sit in the driver's seat. But they fell to Miami as well. But now, after an open date next week, they've got North Carolina, got to go to Virginia Tech, who lost a heartbreaker today, on the road in South Bend. And there's a look at those coastal standings. And then they'll finish up with Boston College at home. So it's not going to be an easy home stretch for Pitt. Trying to finish things off first here in Atlanta before that bye week.
They are the defending champs in the Coastal Division, but over the last 6 years, we've had 6 different teams represent the Coastal. The only team that hasn't is Virginia, and they're playing on the road tonight in Chapel Hill in the South's oldest rivalry. And a win today for Pitt makes them bowl eligible. Come in with a record of 5-3. It's offensive coordinator Mark Whipple in the middle of that huddle, and there's Coach Narduzzi. Going to keep their Coastal hopes alive if they can maintain that lead. They had a sensational victory this season against UCF. That was on September 21st. 35-34. Stopped a 27-game regular season winning streak for UCF. And here's the schedule for the Panthers, James.
They used that Pitt special to win it in fashion there at Heinz Field against UCF. And then
Kenny Pickett, right?
Yes, sir.
Making the catch.
We had them the following week against Delaware, and they stumbled a little bit. But again, penalties and turnovers kind of set them back a little bit. Same thing with Miami. And a chance to put Syracuse away as well. So some things, you come in here and you get this win. Some things to work on in the bye week, but a pretty good spot to be sitting in. Got to be in it to win it, and they'll definitely be in the thick of it.
A.J. Davis 3:35 on the clock. Georgia Tech is out of timeouts as Davis got 4.
Quez Jackson had to step in and play for Charlie Thomas. Bruce Jordan Swillinger today. I was looking up his information. He's from Fort Valley, Georgia, Peach County High School. I said, well, wait a minute, that's where Quezzy's from. Jaquez Green. So you think about it, in age, he's probably named after Jaquez Green, Jaquez Jackson. Well, there have been some greats that have come out of there. One of them is Quez Jackson's cousin, Greg Lloyd. Knows all about hard-nosed football in Pittsburgh. Greg Lloyd, a 5-time Pro Bowler for the Steelers. Quez had to step in and play Mike Backer tonight.
First down and more. A.J. Davis. Christian Campbell tripped him up after an 8-yard pickup. Panthers share their practice facility with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And offices as well.
We go in there for our Friday meetings, and right out the window behind our meeting room, the Steelers are usually practicing, getting ready for their Sunday opponent. You know, it's interesting. You look at Jeff Collins and recruiting, and obviously so many advantages that he has just being right here in such a vibrant, such a great city, such a great school, and so many pluses, but also some pluses up there in Pittsburgh. These guys get to rub elbows with those professional football players on a day-to-day basis and pick up all kinds of things, really. And it's stuff too, Tom, that you wouldn't necessarily think. I grew up with my dad as a defensive coordinator in the NFL for a long time, and just being around those guys, you know, just how to take care of your body, how to approach preparation and looking at things, and not just physical things out on the football field, but the huge bonus for kids that are still in college to be around.
Panthers trying to win their 4th in 5 meetings against Georgia Tech, and that's A.J. Davis, steady diet of number 21, and they're up over 160 yards rushing as a team, right about at that threshold on the Davis carry. More importantly, utilizing that clock, and Georgia Tech can't do anything about it. It's been a career day for French, but he's been on the sideline for the last few possessions, 11 catches. Maurice French.
That's a better look at number 2 than the last time we saw him with that head hanging down in the Gatorade towel over it. That's more promising there, and you got the bye week after this. So rest up a lot of guys. Hoping to get Sibley back as well. Todd Sibley injured his ankle.
Panthers have called a timeout. And leading 2010 with 38 seconds left on the clock, and on 3rd down, Coach Narduzzi will use his 2nd timeout. Here's our Greatness Made Here feature presented by Synovus, and it's that defensive unit for Pitt.
Well, look at them swarm. Just never comfortable in the pocket. These Georgia Tech quarterbacks, no matter who it was back there, they were on the run, it seems like, from the very get-go. And paying off the pressure up front with plays like this. The interception on the back end by Paris Ford.
A couple of sacks as well, James, to add to that total. And they now have 40 for the season, best in the nation. All they got to do is snap the football here. And that is it. The Panthers 3-0 on the road in ACC play with the win today. And into the evening in Atlanta, 20-10. And the Panthers improved, James, to 6-3. Georgia Tech with the loss, they're now 2-6.
There's a big hug. Jeff Collins and his former player, Johnson. Well, that's a fun, hard-fought game by both these teams.
Next week, Saturday, we've got Georgia Tech again against Virginia. For James Bates, Kelsey Wingert, I'm Tom Wormy. So long from Atlanta.